How sick was that, dude? Yo. Shut up! Shut up! Welcome back. It's July 19th, 4:19 a.m. 4:20, bro. I hope you enjoyed my new logo. I think it's pretty awesome. Spent most of the day working on that. I'm really happy with the visuals, and I made that cool effect. I don't know if you could hear it all that well on the video because I only have headphones here, so I was playing it through that, but it's top notch. I really like what I came up with. I found a cool, it's like a combination, a layer of three different, actually, you know what? I guess part of the point of this is to give a little behind the scenes maybe. So how about I show you exactly what I did? It's pretty simple. Got ourselves so right here, that is me humming something that just occurred to me naturally, combined with a couple effects. As you can see here, Valhalla Supermassive. It's a very epic reverb plugin. And then I also pushed it into another Valhalla delay effect, so it adds a little echo at the end. And oops. Yeah, you're not able to see the plugins here, but there's the Valhalla delay. And then I also had in here, you have this sound as well. It's a cool sample I found on Splice that's actually from a sample pack made up entirely of logo sounds professionally produced for games and films. So that was handy. I wanted some kind of cool ambient sound, and I also actually ended up pitching it down a little bit here. It was originally in B. I pitched it down to F because I had at first I was thinking of a cello or a violin, something like classical sounding, but I couldn't find anything that worked very well. And the original cello sample that I was going to use was in the key of F, so I lowered it to that, and I really liked how it sounded. It gives it a very like mystical, cavey kind of feel. And finally, this one might be a little too quiet to hear, but it's a subtle torch flame sound that is very stretched out, as you can see here. Very stretched out and slowed down, just to give it a little fire flicker feel for when the spotlight passes by the logo, which, as you may have noticed in the opening, has a little flicker to it. So that's how I put that together. Pretty sweet. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna sleep on it, and then I'll see tomorrow. Play it back to myself one more time, and if I'm still very pleased with it, go ahead and upload that finally. What will probably be the final patch for the demo up until, I don't know, next fest or something, probably in like at least half a year from now, if not more. February 2027. I believe I mentioned yesterday that I got oh yeah. So I got accepted into the Brutal Indies Showcase. I mentioned that. I got rejected from 6-1 Indie Showcase. Mixed feelings about that. On the one hand, slightly disappointed. Apparently they had more than, what did they tell me, 700 or? Yeah, it must have been 700 entries. Not been selected, more than 700 submissions. And it looks like from a previous showcase, they only show like 48, so lots of competition. However, I'm a competitive person. I want to make sure that what I'm making is of top-notch quality. And so I looked at the games that they had in there, thinking, what could have possibly beaten my game? Come on. And honestly, I saw a handful of games in there that they're not as good as mine. Some of them are actually pretty small time ones. Like some of them have like really cool visual art styles or something like that, but the actual game, I don't know. Some of them are already released on Steam. Their reviews are kind of middling. So, anyway. The thing is funny. I have a friend who is, he's into film, and he made a documentary recently. And he told me about how he was submitting to a lot of different festivals, and he ended up getting accepted into one as well. And this is kind of my first time really doing something like this. I've only ever applied to like one before, but it also makes me think of all those stories you hear about authors who had to shop their book around to like 1,000 publishing houses who all rejected them until finally one accepted you. It's just kind of funny how that works. I wonder how often that has to do with the right time and the right person. You know what I mean? Where it's not even about the quality of your thing, it's just about finding the person who gets what you're doing. I remember seeing a presentation by John Cleese from Monty Python. It was kind of weird. I bought tickets to this thing. This was way back in London, Ontario, when I was still living there. And he gave a whole presentation. I didn't even know what to expect exactly, but it wasn't stand-up or anything. He just gave a presentation on, what was it exactly? It was something kind of cynical about why the world is screwed or something like that. But his major point that he was making through the whole thing is that most people are incompetent at what they do. He was showing statistics about how when a medical system in some country went down, their mortality rate actually went down. Like when there were less doctors active, more people were surviving their conditions. And he talked about how over his career he had gotten to know a lot of professionals in different careers, one of them being his psychologist, I guess a good friend of his. And he asked him at one point, if you were to guess, how many people do you think in your field are competent? And he told him something like, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15%. And that he found this kind of shocking and amazing, and that after that he started to ask lots of other people the same question. He would go to surgeons, doctors, whoever, all these very highly trained people, and he asked them the same question, and he found that pretty much without exception they would all say the same thing, 10 to 15%. I think it makes some sense when you kind of think about it, especially especially certain fields like that where there's a great deal probably of a kind of natural talent and intuition involved. And not just that, but then also really caring about your job. Because it's one thing to have a job, but then also to actually try hard at it. And then to also actually be good at it. I guess when you think about it, the more criteria you apply, the more difficult it is to think of people who really, really know what they're doing. And in fact, I had an experience like this myself now that I think about it, which is when I was looking to hire people, I had to learn a hard lesson there's a story actually I kind of mentioned related to this in the past, but anyway, it doesn't matter. But I went through a rough experience that taught me that I needed to be really careful and very harsh when it came to judging people I was going to work with. And I noticed that, so when I went to do this, I needed to hire a few people, the team that I have now actually. I tried to make a test in such a way that it would simplify who I can select as potential candidates. And so I made a test that I would send out to everyone that was as straightforward as possible. Very simple instructions. And I decided, in order to be ruthless, in order to make sure I'm getting the absolute best people, that I would not tolerate anything that I thought was, I don't know how to describe it, not like stupid, but anything that felt like it was wasting my time or that implies that this person might end up making my life harder rather than making it easier. So for me specifically, what that was, is anyone going to come back to me with a test that is so straightforward and so simple and ask me questions? I wrote it in such a way that there's no need to ask me anything. I send them the test and I say, just tell me how much money you're going to charge me for this. And actually, I think that was it. I'm pretty sure. I just sent the test and said, just give me a quote. And anyway, the amount of people that I had apply for these positions, but who couldn't just take my simple test, understand what needs to be done, and then send me a quote was really kind of astounding to me. So many people who came back with not just questions, but questions that were like baffling, where like I didn't even understand why did they think that the thing they're asking about is something I was even remotely asking for. Like I really wrote it as stupid simple as I possibly could. And of course, the people I ended up working with and who I hired were people who just sent me a quote and were like, yep, no problem, I can get this done for you in such and such time. And that's it. And those are the only people who I even bothered looking at their tests at the end of it all. But anyway, I guess my bigger, what was I originally talking about here? Oh, right, because I was talking about getting into these festivals. I guess my bigger point at the end of the day is how it's, well, I suppose it's two things. One is that your competition, in some sense, like most of the competition, is actually pretty easy to beat. like most people aren't that passionate, that driven, that careful, or self-driven, especially about what they do. And it's relatively easy to beat like 95% of people. But when you get to that top 5% and you're among other people as passionate, as driven as you, or maybe even more, that's where it's like, now it gets really hard. And anyway, as for how that relates to this whole entering into the festival stuff, I'm just thinking about how I can't lie, I get a little angry when I like get a refusal or a rejection letter, because I'm just like, who do you think you are? Let me get this straight, you looked at my game and you thought my game doesn't belong in your little showcase? Are you kidding me? Dude, do you even know what you're looking at here? What kind of taste do you have? I mean, it bodes well for myself insofar as I have that much confidence in what I'm selling, but yeah, I don't know. Actually, I don't even know what kind of point I'm trying to make. I suppose, well, I guess it's just that you never know who's judging your stuff, and I really do think a lot of this, it's like, I don't know, man, just, I feel like when you're younger, you have this sense that some of these award shows and people with credentials, that there's something like official about what they're doing. But there isn't. These are all just random people with opinions. And some of them might not even have good opinions. Some of them legitimately might be on some panel of judges because they know someone. You know what I mean? I noticed how there's a lot of game design programs, for example, at colleges now, and how often, whenever I look up out of curiosity, like, who teaches these courses, how frequently I look them up and it's like some dude who's never made anything. I'm not trying to be a dick, but I'm just thinking, like, I don't know, you go to a physics program at university, you're learning from physicists, right? These are people who do research. But you go into something like a games program, and maybe it's just because it's such a young medium still, but I swear to God, every time I've looked up some educator in making games, it's always someone where it's like, I don't really know what they're like, what you have to learn from this person. Unless you go to the absolute top tier schools, like most teachers are just, I don't know, a guy who maybe knows how to write code, who's dabbled in some game engines, maybe, it's like not much different from some tutorial on YouTube. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just rambling here at this point. So I made my sick logo, my cool new entry. I got rejected from 6-1 Indie, but I'm still in that other one. And I applied for a new one, the Latin America Indie Awards. Don't really know why it's even called that, because they seem to accept anyone to apply for this showcase, but whatever. Yeah. I didn't go to bed last night on time. I know you're truly shocked and surprised by this. In fact, I was up till 9 in the morning. 9 in the morning. Can you believe that? I went to bed at 9 in the morning. I feel like recently, I don't know what it's been. It's like the past few months that I've been going through this cycle, ever since I was basically crunching to get the demo done. And I'm someone who I would say has had a long history of being able to sit in silence and just think to myself about things. I'm generally not scared of sitting with myself in silence. And yet, for the past few months, it feels like I am. I don't know if that's what's going on. I don't know if it's that, or have I just become so accustomed to looking at too much stimulating stuff all at the same time? Too much TV and TikTok and Reddit and whatever and all this garbage overstimulating me, and then I get into a habit of being addicted to those things. But I don't know, man. It's like I'm laying there at night, I'm watching something on the TV, and it feels like there is something pulling me back from turning the TV off, from going into bed. Like I'll even pass out here on the couch while something is on, but just like anything for it to not be silent. And I've normally never had this problem in the past, but I feel like it's the thing that I need to address. And yet I don't know. I wonder if deep down I have, despite my profound belief in myself, also some existential crisis of what if I end up being completely ordinary, you know? Not even ordinary. I have faith that no matter what, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But what if I am ordinary during my lifetime? What if I don't see success in my lifetime? Because if it doesn't come in my lifetime, I believe it'll come posthumously. That's how much faith I have. But if I don't see it in my own lifetime, then what? What if this game doesn't go well and then I'm like, now what? Now, is my whole rest of my life just going to be this torturous process of trying to artistically express myself, but I never have a moment to just live? You know what I mean? Because that's the sacrifice you make. Like you give up a regular life to do something like this. You know, there's a lot I would do right now, a lot that I would like to go out and do and meet new people and everything, but I can't. I have to do this first. And if this doesn't work out, then I need to find a way to make it work. And then that's another like 2 years of doing that. You know what I mean? And I think I see things not yet going exactly as I would hope them to, increasingly being very skeptical of like just how hard I need to push this in order for it to succeed, that I can't underestimate anything. I really need to, I don't know, somehow take it to another level in order for this to succeed to the extent that I want it to. And I'm willing to do anything that I have to do in order to do that. But maybe it's this fear of what if that's still not enough? I don't know. I was recently considering doing a Twitch stream even, like just non-stop streaming all my development as well. Still not sure about that. I don't know if that's such a good idea. Because I wouldn't be able to interact with anyone. I would have to just pretend like it's not on and just do my work because I'd have to stay focused. But I don't know. I don't know, man. I almost... It's like feeling as though if I just push this to such an insane limit, if I'm pushing out so many videos and streaming and doing all this stuff at the same time, if I'm willing to just go 110%, that it's somehow bound to succeed. And yet I don't know if that's the case, but, or am I playing this all wrong? Am I being foolish? Do I really need to just just get better at making videos or something. Well, I think that'll happen naturally, so long as I just keep pushing myself the way that I am right now, keep experimenting. And although it is late at night, and my schedule may not have lined up yet, but I did nonetheless have a pretty good day, all things considered. But I feel a change coming. You know what I mean? Like there's a different style I need to take up and step into. And go all in on that. That philosophical style that I had at the end of my last video, my last like real YouTube video, the post demo one, that was kind of what I had in mind. That's what I wanted to go for. But I couldn't resist the urge to put my my stupid humor in there too. But I'm really beginning to think that I should drop that entirely. Because as I try to build up my brand, it's a real question of what do I want to be known for exactly? And it's really not that. I have a lot of fun doing that, and I love it, and it makes me laugh, but I don't think that's what I want to be. That, whatever you want to call it, that I was at the end of that video, that little speech I gave though, that's what I want to be. So I think I need to pivot.